Greetings, friends. Oz here from planetOZ, and as you can see, I have taken the show on the road, or on the roof, at least. So, I'm up here on the roof because my wife is a teacher. She teaches high school, and she's teaching remotely over the internet, and so she has to be able to speak and hear them, and so I'm here on the roof doing my thing. And anyway, it's nice up here. I hope I'm not blowing everybody out, the cranium, or the jets. Anyway, all experiments, always experiments. Today I am going to Chatter Sirens 2. Oh my god, this is fantastic. Is this gonna work? So anyway, the subject of today's film is truth. Is there one truth to rule them all? And I thought about this because I was looking around at Devil's Tower. I was looking at pictures of Devil's Tower, and there's this theory that people have that Devil's Tower is actually a giant petrified tree trunk. And so I was looking at the pictures, and I was thinking about that, and I was looking at it, and so you can get why people say that when you look at it. It definitely looks a lot like a petrified tree trunk, a giant petrified tree trunk. But of course, geologists have a different story for us about erosion patterns and things like that. And so it just got me thinking about this idea that pretty much everything, every story, it doesn't matter if it's like a timely news story or if it's, some wild-haired theory, whatever it is, we seem to be pretty much always given both versions of the story. There is always somebody advocating for the story is true, and somebody else telling us that it's false. And this applies to so many things. There's like this idea that there were giants walking the earth in the past. And there's skeletons from 15 feet to 100 feet, allegedly. And so, where do these stories come from? What's that about? Because no sooner does some piece of evidence come out that, and then you'll get another story. It's totally prosaic. There'll be some sort of explanation of that nature. So, I kind of explored this in one of the first films I posted, a planetOZ film, was about how we step from one reality into another one. And in the case of that film, and I'll link to it if you haven't seen it, but in the case of that film I was talking about the idea of UFOs and ET contact, and how once you look at enough of the evidence and you hear enough of the stories and you consider it, you come to the point where you realize that it really doesn't seem like there is a pure, whole, and complete truth in any version anymore. Because once you've seen some evidence and you think, oh, well, I'm interested in this topic, it seems like, there are these witnesses, they seem compelling. Maybe there's something to this. So now you have a version of reality, but it also has some holes in it, or some problems, or some questions. And once you don't really have a whole and complete, coherent reality without any questions, you're really just in a balancing act between two things. One is like, you could say, well, my reality is what I always thought it was, but there are these questions presented by these pieces of evidence that I've seen that there might be this other fantastical thing that's true. So you're looking at it that way. If you flip that coin over, it's just as easy to say, I live in a world where I wholly exist, that people are making contact, and that's all true for me. However, there are a lot of people who say that isn't true, and so I have to consider that they might be the ones of sound mind also. And so I'm going to stay as open-minded toward the path of thinking back from where I came as I am about this new open-minded idea I'm thinking. So anyway, that got long-winded, but the idea is just basically that it's just a shift in perspective. You can effectively choose. You can basically choose, or you can at least choose to try. And you just say, well, I'm going to try on the other reality as real, and just keep an open mind to the questions from this one. So, you end up with these ideas that the Devil's Tower. Now, the Devil's Tower would have been apparently a tree miles high, and that's just kind of amazing to think about in its own right. To just think about, just think about a tree. I mean, I know they kind of did that in Avatar. You've seen it in some movies. But it's just, what would that be like to just, come upon something like that and marvel at it, whatever. I mean, the theory and this idea about Devil's Tower is fun just for that alone. I mean, it's cool to just kind of put that image in your mind. But anyway, suppose at one point in history there were trees that were miles high on this planet. Why would that be? Why would that be a truth that we wouldn't accept as true? I mean, if it's the real one, if it's the right one, why wouldn't we just say there? Because if you can imagine, if we didn't have the fossil record of the dinosaurs, let's say we'd never seen any of that. If we'd never been presented with this, and somebody was going around talking about how, hey, you know what? Millions of years ago, this planet was completely populated by giant reptiles. It would just be a crackpot theory. It would just be an idea, Without the evidence, it would be as possible that it was true as anything else. So, I mean, at best you could say, well, maybe this guy is just picking up on some frequency, maybe he's just tapped into some vibration of truth, and so I guess that's my evidence. I have one anecdotal, one person in my focus group, one man who says that there used to be dinosaurs running all over the planet. So instead we have a bunch of evidence, and that gives us a consensus reality. And we don't have a bunch of evidence of miles high trees. But, the Devil's Tower would be that. If they were real, they would be. And there are some others around the planet too. So, anyway, it's overwhelmingly unsupported. So we don't accept it as part of our reality. We don't have any confidence that it's true. But it's just it's a matter of percentages. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like flipping the coin and trying on the different realities. It's like even if 3% of the probability, or 1 or less than 1, is that there were giant trees, it still just calls into question like what our consensus reality is, and what is really true beyond what we're individually, I guess in a way, choosing. It just doesn't seem like anything else. It doesn't seem like any other description is quite right to explain how really every single person has an individual and unique truth, full reality, all their own, as a consequence of accepting or rejecting billions and billions of concepts that are always presented with two ways to view them, two choices you can make, and there are so many that it just is an absolute guarantee that every single individual is going to be unique in how they make all of these choices. So, I don't know. Yeah, so is there one truth to rule them all? I don't think so. Too long? Didn't read? No, I don't think so. Bye, friends.